I had a pilot reach the head of development at a major production company. It didn't get made, but that's actually not the most interesting part of the story. It starts with a velociraptor. What getting traction actually looks like. A few years ago, my writing partner Jake and I got a general meeting with 2 development producers at a production company. Now, if you don't know what a general meeting is, it's not a pitch. Nobody's buying anything. It's more like a first date. They want to get to know you, see what you're working on, and figure out if there's anything worth pursuing together. So we went in with a spec pilot we'd written. It was a live-action workplace comedy based on my experience working as a video producer at BuzzFeed. We were proud of it. That was the thing we were there to talk about. They didn't care about it. What they cared about was the teaser. See, at the top of the pilot, to introduce the show's protagonist, Jake and I had written this 1.5-page gag, a show within a show called Cop Raptor. Cop Raptor is exactly what it sounds like. A talking velociraptor from another dimension falls to Earth and becomes the LAPD's first dinosaur cop. It's as absurd as it sounds. But these 2 development producers, they loved it. They would not stop talking about it. And before I fully understood what was happening, Jake and I were pitching an animated show we had absolutely no intention of writing and knew almost nothing about. And somehow, we did well enough in that room that they wanted to read the spec pilot. Of course, we told them we had a spec pilot. Here's the thing about that. What got the room excited wasn't what we came in to sell. The thing that moved the meeting wasn't our pilot. It was a 1.5 pages we wrote as a throwaway joke. Because in development, what lights people up and what actually gets made are often completely different things. What the development process is actually filtering for. So they wanted to read the spec pilot. Jake and I went home and wrote it that night. We submitted it to our manager. He forwarded it to the development producers, and then nothing. 4 months of nothing. No call, no email, no feedback, just silence. And I'll be honest with you, I knew why. We rushed that script. It wasn't bad, but it wasn't as sharp as it needed to be. The pitch in the room had energy and momentum behind it. The script didn't have that. You can feel the difference when you're writing fast and you know it. So I did what a lot of writers do in that situation. I convinced myself the interest had died. I had moved on. Or tried to. And then one day, my manager called. He said the script had made it all the way up the chain. Now, I don't know exactly what that chain looks like from the inside. My best guess is that it's a series of reads from development producers and executives, each one passing it up to the next level until it reaches the head of the development at the company. What I do know is this: the script that made it through all of those reads was a draft I wrote overnight. A draft I wasn't particularly proud of. The development process is not carefully curating the best possible writing. It's a volume game with unpredictable filters at every level. Your script is one variable inside a system that has a dozen others, and most of them have nothing to do with how good your writing is. The moment it doesn't get made. The script made it all the way up, and the head of development passed. The note was that it wasn't, and I'm using his exact words here, unique enough. I'm not gonna lie to you. I was devastated. Somewhere along the way, I don't even know exactly when it happened, I had put all my eggs into that basket. I had let this thing become the thing, the proof that I was working and the sign that I was on my way. And when it didn't happen, it knocked me flat. I didn't want to touch a script for months. Didn't want to think about it. Didn't want to talk about it. Eventually, I picked up the pieces and got back to work. But it took a while. Here's what I understand now that I didn't understand then. The pipeline worked exactly as it was designed to. The script got read. It moved up, and people responded enough to it to pass it along. And then the person at the top of that chain made a business decision. Not a talent decision, and said no. That is the system functioning normally. That's not an indictment of the writing. That's not even really about the writing. It took me longer than it should have to understand that. Most writers, and I was absolutely one of them, spend a lot of time asking, how do I get in the room? How do I get the meeting? How do I get the read? But I think that's the wrong question. The better question is, what actually happens in the room? What is the system I'm trying to move through? And do I actually want to keep playing this game? If this resonated, subscribe. I'm doing this every week. And drop a comment. Are you still trying to get in the room? Or have you been there and felt exactly what I'm describing?